Welcome back. New week, new topic. I've got Daniel in the studio this week to tell us about the aviation industry. He tells us about his new data-based position with Alaskan Airlines. He even gave me my wings, so watch out. He also tells us some advice for those wanting to enter the aviation industry and what he might have done differently if he had to do it all over again. He also tells us about his goal of visiting all 50 states. And no, visiting the airport does not count. Okay? We round out our conversation with how we both took high school French, oui, and did a very special project at the Minnesota Zoo, and of course, what we're consuming in media. So please enjoy Season 3, Episode 6 of A Whole Nother Story podcast. Welcome. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for inviting me on your show. Glad to be back in Minnesota for Thanksgiving week.
Nice. And you just got off your flight yesterday, right?
Yep, around 11:30 to 40ish. It was from Seattle to Minneapolis on an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-900 and it was a very uneventful but smooth flight. 2 hours 42 minutes heading east.
Does airlines have screens on their planes?
Unfortunately, with their mainline domestic fleet, they do not. However, like a lot of the other airlines, such as American and perhaps even Sun Country, they typically have on their Wi-Fi portal page, they will have their own entertainment, and then you can just prop your phone up with your headphones. I actually think that's a pretty good solution given how heavy and expensive those TVs are.
Yeah.
However, with their new 787s being coming into the fleet slash being transferred from Hawaiian, those will have seat back entertainment.
Okay.
So rest assured, if you ever take us long haul, you won't be without a TV.
Yes. Oh, thank goodness. No, I'm kidding. Sun Country doesn't have the screens at either, but they might have the online. I just never think to check their services because I kind of like put my phone away. It's like I downloaded things or I didn't. What do you like to do on a flight?
Usually on a flight to try and read because it just kills a lot of time, more so than watching stuff. Sometimes Wi-Fi can be spotty, but so far on Alaska, it's been pretty good.
All right, plug.
Of course, I do watch TV shows or TV on longer flights as well. But of course, the best one, especially for when I like to go on overnight slides, is trying to fall asleep.
There you go. And you can sleep on planes then.
It really, really depends.
Yeah. I cannot, no matter how long the flight is, how tired I am. I cannot. You work for Alaskan Airlines. Represent. Love it. What is your job title and position with them?
So I started at Alaska Airlines on September 8th, 2025. I'm currently a pricing analyst on the revenue. I'm currently a revenue management analyst on the pricing side of the commercial organization. And in that role, I basically get to manage a subset of markets and figure out what the best slash appropriate fares to file for for all my markets are, either during sale periods or just during our regular sale periods, I guess, along with introducing any new competitors in the mix or taking those away. Just a lot of nuanced factors to look at before making any decisions, and of course lots of collaboration across the commercial organization as well.
Right. Getting those prices fair and down for us. I want to know, government shutdown affect you very much?
Personally, it actually did affect me, but it was more so for my trips rather than the actual operations. For context, Alaska Airlines, I think they did an excellent job trying to navigate it. Most of the flights that were affected were those small regional flights on those, feeder carriers like SkyWest, Endeavor, whereas only has SkyWest and Horizon, so we weren't perhaps affected as much as maybe a United or Delta were. And what Alaska was try to keep all the flights that were only maybe once or twice daily, along with our essential air services, uh, going, basically just canceling maybe markets with multiple daily frequencies, like maybe Seattle Anchorage.
Hmm.
Uh, by the way, in the summer we fly that around 21 or 22 times
A
a
day?
day,
Yeah. Yep.
which is absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was, yeah, the multiple daily flights and just maybe markets that weren't super significant. So I think Alaska just wasn't quite as negatively affected. Of course, it's going to affect our quarter four earnings and revenue, but that is to be determined in January of 2026.
Right. So not to worry about now.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But anyways, for how it affected me, I was supposed to go to New York City for a day trip that weekend to see one of my friends and former classmate,
Hmm.
Ebenezer.
Yes.
Uh, I was planning on just walking around the city again with him and just eating a bunch of food
Nice.
before heading back to Seattle to sleep in my own bed on the same day.
There you go. That's nice. I've never done like a day trip or anything quite like that, but that's the way to go in New York.
It really is.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite spot or cuisine for when you're there?
Not really. I like to always go to different places just because there's just way too many places in New
So
York.
many.
And I've heard this really interesting statistic about New York. If you tried every single restaurant, you wouldn't be able to finish them in your lifetime.
Mm, I believe that. Like 3 meals a day, and you still wouldn't be able to.
It's either just one meal or it's three meals. Of course, that
Okay.
makes a huge difference, but either way, a mind boggling
Still
number.
statistically, yeah, significant. That's crazy. Well, I want to know how you got into aviation in the first place.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions I like to answer, but also one of the most difficult as well because I never quite know my exact pinpoint of where and how I got into it.
Hmm.
But the one I like to use is right before we start eighth grade. I went on a trip to China and I was flying from Minneapolis to Beijing via Seattle. And in Seattle, there was around a 4 or 5 hour layover, and I had to figure out how to kill time. When I tried to figure out a way to kill time, I noticed this beautiful uh, red tail with some yellow stripes in the background. Immediately, I knew it was a Chinese airline. Sure enough, when I looked it up, it was a Hainan Airlines Airbus A330,
Hmm.
also going to Beijing, funny enough. Looking around and noticing a lot more other foreign carriers and just a lot of airlines in general. Seattle, even back then, had a wide variety of airlines, maybe compared to Minneapolis.
Hmm.
So after I started noticing that, I started doing research on what kind of routes they flew, what their fleet composition was, or what kind of operations they just had in general at a high level. And after that, I think that's how the passion stuck. I never envisioned I would actually have been interested in it like going for so long. By the way, over 10 years now at this point.
Yeah.
I always thought it would have just been kind of a thing I got into and
Hmm.
then got bored of eventually.
Right.
But so glad it has not happened.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really cool that your story isn't like, some other people get into the airline industry because they're like, I just want to travel, free flights, perfect. But you were like, no, I saw this beautiful plane and I needed to learn more about it. And then adding your like interest in the statistical and the data side of things as well. So, very cool story. Regardless of how you get there, everyone's path is different. But regardless of, even if you have an interest, it's pretty hard to enter, isn't it?
Oh, I would say one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah. So, how did you enter, first of all? You started with your internship?
Yeah, I kind of knew in college that before I started college actually. Like I think even going as far as end of middle school, I knew I had to end up in working for the airline industry, at least in corporate or one way or another. And I just made sure that during my freshman and sophomore years of college, I just got any good quality internship because I know that the airlines for the most part, tend to be extraordinarily competitive to get into, even at the internship level.
Hmm.
And there's no better way to stand out than having actual professional experience on your resume. So that's what I did freshman, sophomore year. Junior year, the really big one, I was planning on recruiting for the airlines, but then going to a school like Emory, there were a lot of people already getting their junior summer internships all the way back in January of their sophomore year.
Yep.
So then I started getting nervous and I was like, maybe I'll just try to get a banking or consulting internship just so I can lock something in if the airlines don't work out. Because I knew junior year, if I didn't get anything, I'd be in hot water
Yep.
come full time recruitment. So I ended up getting an internship at Bank of America. I enjoyed it overall. It was a good experience, but I knew I wanted to be in the airline industry.
Yep.
And I was able to get my first big break at Delta Airlines in the fall of my senior year, where I interned on in Delta's reservations team whilst taking classes at the same time at Emory. They do not allow you to do that anymore,
Mm,
unfortunately. So
okay.
that's not really an option, but the right timing for me was good.
Yeah. I would say that's a pretty big jump right to Delta. So that's very exciting.
Yep.
Where did you go after Delta?
After Delta, I went back to Bank of America in their financial finance analyst rotational program. I completed my first year in it in global tech and ops forecasting FP&A
Mhm.
type role.
Of course.
And then I started my data analyst role on the liquidity team
Mhm.
for back in August, and I was in that role for a month before I left to go to Alaska Airlines.
All right. Period. And now here you are,
Yep.
Alaska Airlines. I love it. I love our prop. Um, you also were sending me some like crazy things that you've done that we could talk about today in the airline industry. And one was your day trip to Chile. What was that like? How do you do a day trip to Chile?
Yeah, this was one of the benefits of working in the airline industry and interning because we got free flights as long as, there were seats available and if the schedules worked out. So on a weekend, because Delta, they fly to they arrive in Santiago early morning and don't leave until very late evening.
Mhm.
It works out perfectly for a day trip. And while I was at Delta, I went with one of my coworkers who is also an Emory alum, by the way.
Mm.
We went to she's I think she went that was her third time in Chile, so she
Oh
was
wow.
able to show me around and help me navigate because I didn't know Spanish.
Right. Right.
So having her was a huge help, just getting to kind of walk around Santiago and not have to do all the planning required.
Yes, and the lifting. That was me when we went to Spain recently in the spring. Throwback to Julia's episode where we described that trip. But everybody else had taken high school or collegiate Spanish, but I took French.
As did I.
And I know you did too. And we were just remembering that we were through French 4 together. We only had one class per year because it was so unpopular. So we did all 4 years with the same teacher too. Shout out Madame Antone. Hey girl. Um, do you remember our French 4 trip to the zoo?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That was that was on my birthday actually. I was kind of upset that we had to do work on my birthday, but I guess we did it at the zoo. So, I'll take it. But this project was basically we went to the zoo to present on an animal in French to the immersion elementary level students who were there for French language day. And we were working on that project for like 2 months. 2 months. It was crazy. I was on the Gibbon team. We think you What team were you on?
I genuinely don't remember.
Fair
I
enough.
could have been on the Gibbon team.
Fair enough. I think because we were split into 2 shifts. So you might have been on the other side of the Gibbon group.
Come to think of it now, I might have actually been on that.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it.
Because I do remember presenting in the tropical area of the zoo.
Yes.
Yep.
Anyways, we spoke French. Have you ever been to France?
I have, and I actually have a story for that.
Really? Where'd you go?
I went to, as everyone does in France, I went to Paris. This was back in when I was in 8th grade for spring break.
Mhm.
Very unfortunate story because we got robbed in France.
No. Like fully all of your luggage and everything, or like on your
Purse.
person?
On my mom's person.
Oh.
Unfortunately, her purse contained Subaru keys, passports, a lot of money,
Everything.
everything, all gone.
Oh.
We were already in Paris the day before, so we did see the main thing like the Eiffel Tower and Arc de Triomphe. But we unfortunately had to spend the rest of the time
Dealing with that.
getting our temporary passports so we could go back to the US. And also happened to be during the ISIS attacks on Belgium. So that was another very scary time, like
Oh,
especially if
boy.
we could not get back.
Yeah, so they're like, we're actually not going to give you your passports because this global thing is happening as well.
Well, we did get our temporary passports.
They did. But do you think that was a factor in the difficulty getting a temporary?
I don't think so. It's just
Okay.
another thing that added to the stress.
Right. But besides international travel, you do have a goal of reaching all 50 states. You're on your way,
Yep.
right? How many have you gone to so
35
far?
out of 50.
35. Pretty decent. And what are your like parameters for a state counting? Like some people are like, oh, airport or stepped foot outside the airport, or is it like 24 hours? What are your
Yeah, I definitely do not count the airport. That's
fake,
just
fake?
if that were the case, I would be at 38.
Yeah.
So how I count it is if I'm going, I don't have to be in the state for 24 hours because frankly, there are a lot of states I haven't been in for 24 hours. I just have to make sure I do something, walk around somewhere, maybe try to see something intentionally like I did in Alabama, just making sure I saw the state capitol when I was driving back to Atlanta from New Orleans and Mardi Gras.
Cool.
I was in Alabama for probably 1 or 2 hours, but yeah, as long as I'm doing something that's not a gas station or a layover, I count it.
There you go. Okay, and I want to know what are some of your favorite states and then what are like bottom of the list?
Yeah, so I'll start with my top ones, and these are in no particular order because these are always changing.
Yep.
So, got it. First one and foremost, I have to give a shout out to North Carolina.
North Carolina.
That's where I spent a little over a year full time working at Bank of America in Charlotte. And I think I made the most out of my time there. Took a ton of day trips by road just to go hiking with friends and see the Blue Ridge Mountains and go visit a bunch of random places I would have never found out about if it weren't for TikTok.
There you go. What better place?
Yep. Even took Amtrak for the very first time with Ebenezer from Charlotte to Raleigh for a day trip. And that's the farthest east I've gone in North Carolina. So unfortunately, no Wilmington, no Outer Banks, no North Carolina beaches. So that kind of sucked. But I was, I also just moved out after a year. So can't really do too much.
No, you checked a lot of boxes for a year.
Yeah.
Especially when you're using it. It's so accessible to the other states. why wouldn't you go visit around?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've driven to, yeah. Um, Speaking of that, another state that's in my top is actually West Virginia. This was a state I knew I wasn't going to be at Bank of America for long because I knew I wanted to get back to the airline industry.
Uh-huh.
So one of the states I knew I had to visit was West Virginia because it was an easy 3.5 hour drive. And I did that in October of 2024 with Ebenezer.
Yes.
Actually, highly underrated state. We visited New River Gorge National Park, did a couple short, easy hikes there, even visited the ghost town of Thurmond.
Ooh.
And overall, I think if you ask me what my most underrated state is, it has to go to West Virginia.
West Virginia. Ding ding ding. Your big winner today. That's exciting. That it would not be even on my radar. So now I better put it on the list.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a visit. Just gotta, keep an open mind for sure. If you like nature, West Virginia is definitely for you. If you want more of this big city type, go ahead and skip it. Some of my other ones would be Georgia. That's where I spent 4 years at Emory. Always wanted to, you know, go down south for college because it was warmer, and that's where a lot of the corporate opportunities were moving to as well.
Right.
And yeah, Georgia, really good time. Kind of same thing as North. Honestly, I think of North Carolina and Georgia kind of as twin states
Yeah.
because they both have big cities, like, and they're in the southeast, but Sunbelt region, tons of growth in both states,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very easy to, drive around both places to a bunch of other nearby cities or states.
Absolutely. I've never been to Georgia or Atlanta, but in terms of my knowledge of the two, they're twin in my mind as well because the film industries there or the production industries are very similar. Atlanta has been like the hot spot outside of California and New York, but it's cooled down a little bit. But the Carolinas are also exploding right now
Oh yes.
because of the tax breaks and the young population. So,
Yep, and I know a lot of movies have been filmed in and TV shows have been filmed in North
yeah.
Carolina, such as the Conjuring series, of course.
Really?
Yep.
Do you like those movies?
I haven't seen all of them,
Okay.
but I did enjoy them.
Yeah. Those are some of the only scary movies I've seen. Well, I've seen a couple of scary movies, but like I don't go for them. So the fact that I've seen multiple is like, okay, they weren't bad. I actually watched them in North Carolina
Oh.
with Sam Osmansky and Ethan Dahl.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's
Wow.
great moment.
Yep. They made me watch them. So,
Glad you enjoyed them.
what other states are on your list?
Another one that I have to give a shout out to is Tennessee.
Mm,
I've been to Memphis along with the Smoky Mountains. So most western part of the state and most eastern part of the state.
there you go.
Haven't been to Nashville yet, but
Oh,
it's on my list.
yep.
I think Tennessee also highly underrated. Lots of good nature as well. Uh, did an 11 to 12 mile hike out and back at the Smokies. I think it was Mount LeConte via along Bat Cave. I think that's the name of it.
Cool.
Beautiful views, but man, it killed me. I think 32,000 steps.
Really? Whoo. That's quite a bit. That's a lot in one day.
Yep.
One hike. I don't get out into nature and to hikes like this as often, but I'm adding all of these to my list. It's very inspiring. I was just in North Carolina actually visiting my friend Abby, and we went to Crowder's Mountain, of course. Um, but it was like a 0.8 mile hike. We're like, oh, it's short, easy, because we had done CrossFit that morning, and I was dead, but we didn't know it was strenuous, so it was like vertical. It was like it would like wove, but it was very steep, and then the top was like not vertical, obviously, but very steep steps to the top. But it was great. Highly recommend.
Yep.
If you're ever you've done that hike.
Yep. I've been there twice.
Mhm.
One of them was a 6.6 or 7 mile round trip.
Yep.
And no, there's no 67 joke in there. Anyways, lots of rocks on the trail, but lots of fun. Great view. Probably one of the best views of the mountain
Mhm.
and very close to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And another one I've done was probably a slightly, I think a much shorter trail. I don't really remember the name. Also pretty steep. I think Crowders in general is just very steep. So,
Yes.
I definitely rate it like at least moderate to hard for
Yep.
sure.
Certainly. Certainly. All right. Any other top states for you?
Gotta say South Carolina's another really fun one. Been to Charleston, uh, Greenville, and some other, of course, the border cities of Charlotte as well.
Yep.
It just very accessible, lots of fun, good beaches. Honestly, just good vibes in general with South Carolina.
Lovely. I've never been to South Carolina.
Highly recommend, especially if you like shopping and the beach.
There we go. Those are your top states. I need to know what are like the absolute bottom stinkers not noteworthy.
Yeah, great question. I got to preface this with saying I don't really hate any states. I think every state is very unique, and there's a reason why I am on the mission, my mission to visit all 50.
Right. To meet each one, find its personality.
Yeah, even if I only spend like 1 or 2 hours in the state,
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily get the most in-depth view, but I think I get at least enough of a sort of high-level view.
Yeah. And then you can expand upon it. Once you reach 50, maybe you expand upon it and say, okay, now I want to go to at least this many cities in each state, or, there's places to go.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always places, but I think beyond that, I'm just not really going to track anymore.
Mm,
By the way, before anyone else asks, I'm probably not, I don't have any plans to visit every country in the world.
okay. But you are close on continents, aren't you?
Yes, I am 5 out of 6 inhabited continents, just have Africa left.
Okay. All right. Why does Antarctica not count, though, in your mind?
Antarctica doesn't count because it's so incredibly difficult to and expensive to get to.
Right.
No commercial flights. I'd
Right.
like to avoid the Drake Passage if I can. I have
Yo ho.
I have
You
seen
know that
enough.
song?
Yes, I have seen
Of those.
enough. I have seen enough North Sea TikTok videos.
Yes. Do you think it would still be as scary if you took that audio away?
Yeah,
But that audio does not help. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Throw it out. Sorry, Antarctica. Not today.
of course. If I ever do visit, I'm not. If I do ever get the chance to visit, I'll take it. But I'd have to probably. It would just require a lot of planning and, of course, a lot of capital as well.
Back to the States. We love you all in your own way, but bottom of the list, where are you at?
At least in my personal experience, first one slash the most recent one, gotta give it to Delaware. uh, you know, I knew going into it, I didn't have high expectations. I did this as a side quest for when I went to Philly for, a day last weekend, actually.
Mhm.
And, I insisted that we took the 50-minute train ride to Delaware just so I could cross it off and do something in the state.
Nice.
I actually ended up visiting Alapocas Run State Park. It's near Wilmington. Uh, you know, it's a pretty good. It's pretty nice just walking around it, but in general, I think Delaware just isn't that big. It's very easily forgotten.
Yeah.
No hate to it though.
Sorry. Sorry, Delaware. You remembered the name of the state park, though, so I actually find that really admirable.
Thank you.
I would have forgotten that as soon as I left the state. So,
Second one, Connecticut. This one I actually had a pretty negative experience in. I went in September 2024 with Ebenezer.
mhm.
Took a quick train ride from New York City to Greenwich, Connecticut. We were planning on taking this ferry ride to some islands out in the Atlantic Ocean that were really close by.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, we were kind of dumb and did not read the reviews before heading there. So we did not know that they pretty much only allow locals most of the year on these ferries.
That's
And
crazy.
for context, Greenwich is a very rich slash bougie place to be in.
Right.
So, anyways, getting back to the story, We got turned away, of course, given that we weren't residents of Greenwich, but that wasn't the worst part of it. I think the worst part was how we were treated because the ticketing agent was extremely rude to us,
Yeah.
and had kind of a condescending tone, like, "Oh, why didn't you know that you had to be a resident? Like, come on."
What do you mean? Why is that not like a big red flag on your website or the way you book it? So
Yeah,
that people don't book it. Like this is clearly probably one of their main revenue streams. Is just confused people.
probably.
If that's the way this is happening.
Yeah,
Ugh.
because I
And
did go on their website at least,
yeah.
and I did not see any big red flags. Hopefully,
Yeah.
they updated that.
Yeah. Hopefully. Sue. Sue them.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Third one, New Jersey, also kind of the same time as Connecticut, just the day before. The only thing we
Mm,
did was Ebenezer and I did was take the subway to Jersey City,
there you go.
which is right across from New York City. So,
Nice.
of course, no hate to New Jersey. I just don't know what there is to do there.
Yeah. You were looking at New York longingly, like, I wish I was over there right now.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. All right. Sorry, New Jersey. Next.
Next one's next one would probably be Kentucky, but I think this one's a bit unfair only because I visited Covington and
Okay.
not like, which is one of the northern suburbs of the Cincinnati slash Covington areas, and it's like borders Ohio basically. So all I did was walk across the bridge from Ohio to walk around a
Okay.
bit.
So you could count it.
So I count it, but it's also one of the hardest ones for me to count. I definitely want to maybe go to Lexington, maybe watch the Kentucky Derby or something
Okay.
to really know Kentucky.
Yes. So you're not like in your mind against your morals. You're like, I didn't really. I didn't
Yeah,
really.
I'm sure I would genuinely enjoy it because I did actually drive through it once
Oh, yeah.
when I was driving from with my mom down from Lakeville all the way to Charlotte
Mm,
in 2023.
mhm.
Really regret not stopping in Lexington because that would have been the easiest time to visit.
There you go. Dang. Well, I mean, driving through it too. Yes, you're zooming. Yes, it's mostly highways, but like you get a sense of the land as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually did see one of the main farmhouses, I guess, of Lexington. So there is that as well. That's why I'm kind of confident in
Yeah.
counting it.
Yeah. Call it good.
Yeah, we'll call it good, but
Combine the two.
yes.
It counts. There you go.
And of course, the last one, of course, also kind of the same reason as Kentucky, it goes to Ohio. Um,
Yes.
Ohio, I only visited Cincinnati, walked around, and also visited a store called Jungle Gyms
Okay.
or something.
Never heard of it.
They have two around the Cincinnati area,
Mhm.
and it's just a regular grocery store, but they have a bunch of sculptures like from the B movie, or they just have a giant car hanging from the
Uh,
walls, or a, a guy doing a clean and jerk for some reason.
okay.
So it was very interesting walking through
Yeah.
that. And I stayed with one of my friends overnight on the University of Cincinnati campus.
Nice.
Very, very rowdy bar scene and extremely loud. I don't know how he survived the whole summer there, given how loud it was.
Really? Yikes. Yeah, that wouldn't be for me either.
Yeah.
But you've got jungle gyms. Jungle gyms?
I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, you got jungle gyms going for you, Ohio. So good for you.
They also have a national park. I am probably going to plan on visiting Ohio sometime again
Mhm.
soon. Just don't know quite when yet.
Sure. Very cool. What are you going to do to celebrate when you get to all 50 states?
Wow, I never actually give any thought about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, we got to plan it then. What do you like to do to celebrate things now?
I don't really do anything.
Oh, Danny, we got to celebrate life. Otherwise,
Maybe I'll post on Insta or something.
there we go. There we go. Let the people know.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't aware till today. So there you go. Well, before that, when we were chatting. But very exciting. I think you should throw yourself a little party.
Thank you.
At least get the friends together and maybe get a pair of wings for yourself. Even though you drove to a bunch.
Yeah.
So now I don't know.
Yeah, and it's unless if I fly a Velo, I'm not gonna be flying into Delaware.
Okay. What if we get you a nice map?
I've thought of that too. I might get one myself for sure.
There we go. There we go. I like it. I like it. And you can pin all of the specific places you
Yeah,
go.
I've been trying to find a good one actually.
Hmm.
All the states, all the countries. I just gotta be careful with it for sure.
I want to know though, going back to the airline industry, we were talking about how it's one of the hardest to enter. What advice would you give people trying to enter aviation industry?
I think first and foremost, it's really important to have a passion for aviation. I think it's generally the easiest when it comes to being able to answer various behavioral slash situation type questions in interviews, and just having a passion for it. It, I guess at least it keeps you on some kind of level playing field when you're competing against other people who are very into aviation as well. So that's, I think, almost a prerequisite at this point, given how competitive it is to land any solid internship or job these days.
Hmm.
Well, it's always been competitive, but even more so now.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell me about it. Everywhere.
yep.
Everywhere is.
Of course, kind of what I mentioned earlier with getting started on internships, you must get started on internships as early as possible within your college career. And don't listen to the career coaches who say, or career staff at the universities who say, oh, if you don't have an internship before junior summer, you're completely fine. No, you're not fine. And I don't mean this to, I'm not saying this to be cynical or mean. I'm just giving out the honest, hard truth.
Yeah.
Unless if you get very lucky, you're going to need all the cards to play in your favor.
Yes.
Like,
Or be
honest,
an aviation nepo baby, right?
yeah, even that doesn't really help,
Oh, really?
at least for certain airlines, and I'm
Okay.
not going to name it.
Okay. Okay. T.
But yeah, basically get experience, try to show you if that you have a passion for aviation, or at least the job you're applying for. Before I was able to land myself a job at Alaska, and I'm extremely happy where I ended up, of
Yeah.
course. But man, it was brutal. Even
Mhm.
Alaska, the interview process took a lot. I mean, I had to do a lot of prep, just know my behavioral stories, of course, but also be able to think really quickly upon my feet, especially answering those airline consulting type questions, and even make sure I was completely brushed up on Excel. Of course, given that I worked at Bank of America, that wasn't much of a problem.
Right. Right. What are some of the behavioral questions like? Because I know it's super intense with aviation.
I would say it really depends on each airline. Of course, there's going to be your standard behaviorals. They'll probably ask you stuff like, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker and how you dealt with it. And then if you want to get into more airline technical questions, they'll kind of ask questions such as, uh, if a plane is 52% full, is that good or bad? Basically, there's not necessarily a right answer. You just have to be able to argue your point and be able to show them that you can think logically.
Mhm.
But besides that, it also just requires a great amount of luck.
Right. Right. And then the area you're in within the aviation industry, where do you want to go with that? Like what's a position that you're like eyeing for?
I think I generally just want to. Ideally, I'd love to stick within the commercial uh, area of the industry, so pricing, inventory, maybe network planning.
Mhm.
But of course, given that I want to stay in this industry for the rest of my career, I want to be open to a lot of other opportunities as well. Keep my skill sets sharp, and just be able to move up and even help mentor others once I get a few years under my belt as well. It's probably the most important thing is to get into the airline industry really early
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't the job market of 2021, 2022, or even part of 2023. Most of the time when I see people who get airline jobs, especially these days, um, they had some sort of airline experience on their resume. I think the one of the biggest reasons that ways things that helped me get into Alaska was having that Delta internship on my resume
Yes.
because airlines really, because the industry is so niche, they really do prefer candidates who at least have some kind of interest or experience within.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you pick between thousands and thousands of candidates for real?
Serious. Especially when there's 8 million plus bots applying to these jobs as well.
Yep.
Don't even get me started. Does any aviation experience count? Like I know one of my cousins was doing the like wand holding. Oh,
Well, the ramp agent type job?
yeah.
Yeah, that can count. I mean, I think it will be a bit harder than if you start at corporate in the airline industry, but I know it's definitely possible. A lot of airlines love to hire from within and build their, current employees up.
Hmm.
I know Delta specifically, they've had
Yes.
a lot of programs, especially post COVID, that
Mhm.
helped a lot of employees transition from the front line, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
to, kind of the corporate world or, other types of careers within the airline itself.
Right. And airline companies, from what I understand, really, really value loyalty, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think generally speaking, a lot of people, because the aviation industry slash airline industry is so much fun to, at least to me, to work in, a lot of people tend to stay for a very long time. I mean, it's not really that unheard of for people to have stayed,
Mhm.
20, 30, or even 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. I am very loyal to Sun Country Airlines personally because my grandpa, Jim Olson, James Olson, he started the airline basically with a bunch of other pilots. So when he formerly worked for Braniff Airlines and Braniff went bankrupt. And so he was sitting at a restaurant with a couple pilots and a couple stewardesses. Stewardesses? Is that a
Yeah,
word? Is that the plural?
I think so.
Anyways, or flight attendants. And he was like, why don't we just start an airline? And they were kind of like, you're crazy for that. But then he gathered the pilots' shares. They all put in their own shares and they got to work. So he hasn't been with them for a long time, obviously, right? And they had gone through a couple corrupt CEOs, but he
Hmm.
was originally in charge of like starting it. He would do everything from building all of the safety protocols, etc., to scheduling was a big thing because they were based on Sun Country to the name, sunny destinations. They wanted to get people from Minnesota to their destinations. And that's how they were built. So, very cool plug,
Yeah, that's
Sun
really
Country.
cool. And I can't believe you actually have family who
I
started
know.
it.
I know. We get zero benefits.
That's
Zero.
unfortunate.
I know. Because of all the turnover and corrupt CEOs they've had, they kind of pushed him out. So he gets flight benefits, but he doesn't go anywhere
Mm.
anymore. I also must mention that my grandma Joni um, was one of the stewardesses. I can't. It doesn't sound right. The flight attendants who also helped start the airline. So very cool. Yeah, that's my connection to aviation. So when you reached out, I was excited to hear about it.
Great. Yeah. Glad you were excited. And it's just really cool knowing that your story, grandpa's story with Sun Country.
Mm-hmm.
I have a shout out to Sun Country. I've actually flown them once
Yes.
from Charlotte to Minneapolis round trip last Thanksgiving, actually. So
Yes.
almost a year. Overall, I was actually pretty shocked that they offered free drinks, considering they are one of the low cost carriers in the
They
U.S.
do.
I mean, nothing to write home about with Sun Country,
Correct.
obviously,
Correct.
but they did the job. They were on time. They were professional. I wouldn't hesitate to fly them again.
Mm-hmm. You won't get a screen. You will have to pay for an overhead bag, but you chose the budget airline. So,
Exactly.
yeah. My goal eventually is to write a film or a TV show. Haven't decided yet about his story because it is pretty crazy. He's told me a little bit about it. So,
Oh, well,
there you go.
hopefully that eventually becomes reality.
Yeah, you heard it. You heard it right here. It begins now. It is time for of course, the question I ask all of my guests. That is, what are you consuming in media right now?
I think I consume a wide variety of sources. Anything. Instagram's a huge one, of course, because I always love to post, stories of where I go and save them to my highlights/memories.
Yes.
And yeah, Instagram's one of them. TikTok's another one, mostly because I'm able to find very strange and off the beaten path places.
Okay, yeah.
YouTube's another big one. Love watching CNBC's aviation related videos, but also any other informational type videos as well. I think they're just pretty well made.
What else? Anything else you're consuming right now? Movies, music, books.
For music, honestly, I just listen to anything except for modern rap.
Yeah.
In terms of books, I think I prefer nonfiction these days. I actually currently reading a book called Characters and Characters. It's about Alaska Airlines' history.
Cool.
Making my way through it. It's, I think, about 400, 500 pages.
Ooh, that's a deep history of that.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't think they have that on Sun Country yet, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, I think Alaska's the only one, as far as I know, that has that thick of a book. It's been pretty good so far.
Yeah. Are there any big players from its founding still around? When was it founded?
I believe 1932.
Okay.
And it's merged from a lot of different airlines.
Yeah.
So probably not.
No. I am not reading anything right now because too much is happening. I am still waiting for Stranger Things. I think I've said it in all episodes this season so far. I'm waiting so patiently, and I'm going to keep waiting because I will have many more of these to record before all of the episodes are out. So stay tuned. And I'm rewatching in the meantime. So
when is season 5 supposed to come out? Because I've been seeing posts about it.
Yes. Actually, day before Thanksgiving, his part half. Hello. Day before Christmas Eve. And then the final episode is releasing in theaters on New Year's Eve.
Cool.
Yes. So, interesting release schedule, but I'm sad. Sorry, holidays, they're going to be weird. Whatever. I'm committed. So, very exciting. I think that's all I got for us, Daniel.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show. I definitely enjoyed speaking on here, for sure.
Awesome. I'm glad you swiped up. Everyone go fly Alaska Airlines or Sun Country.
Oh, and Hawaiian.
And Hawaiian, because
we merged with them.
Merge.
And in more exciting news, we have long-haul international flights to Tokyo and Seoul already from Seattle. But next summer, we're going to start Iceland, Rome, and London. Of course, that date is to be announced TBD. And by 2030, the airline is hoping to have at least 12 long-haul international destinations.
Okay.
I would envision most of them to be Asia and Europe. So keep your eyes tuned.
Keep them in mind. That's exciting. I'll be looking into it.
Plus, you get Hawaiian to New Zealand and Sydney and some of the, islands in Oceania as well.
Yes. Also, high on my destination list is New Zealand. Used to be Australia, and then I realized they have way more bugs and critters that I can't handle. New Zealand does not. Has less. So, New Zealand it is.
Nice.
All right. See ya.